Okay guys, let's start the stream. Here we go. It has been a while. So glad to be streaming again. Yes, I can't quite keep the every week kind of thing going, but that's okay. We're gonna do streams as we can. It's just been so busy on the channel. So many things have been coming in. So many things are happening in the FPV world, even though the chip shortage is keeping a lot of us down in a lot of different ways, making it difficult to get parts. There's always something new to try, like the sharkbyte system right here. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on in the episode and where it fits into the FPV landscape. But I wanted to try something new, and that is going to be the first episode of Judge jonE5. Welcome to the courtroom of Judge jonE5. The people are real. The cases are real. The verdicts, they're not exactly final, but, you know, it's just for entertainment purposes only. Just a disclaimer for you guys. This is not actual legal advice. I'm not a licensed attorney, but I do have over 20 years of Judge Judy watching experience and a considerable amount of experience also watching Judge Joe Brown. So we're going to get to the episode really quickly. Let's let a few people start to trickle in, and then I will begin presenting the case for you guys. Then we can all vote as a community on who is wrong, who is right, what should happen in this scenario. So we got Spider Monkey here. Chris is here. Oh, nice. He's working on a shocker that I had on this channel. So glad to get some of those builds in other people's hands. FPV Trucker is here. Just a reminder to you guys, I don't have an unlimited budget for this channel. Basically, I have to sell everything that's on the channel in order to buy the next round of stuff for review. So if you ever see anything you like, just PM me. If I still have it, I'm happy to get it over to you. And generally everything that I have on the channel that's not raced is very, very lightly used. For review, I generally fly things 5 or 10 packs in. I don't really crash them, so everything's always going to be in pretty good shape. Mr. Spat is here. Oh my gosh, is that UAV Tech? I don't know if it's that Mr. Spat, but if it is, that's pretty cool. Game of Drones, some dude. Oh man, some dude's here. All right, cool. So we got about 10-ish people in the chat, but we're gonna wait till we get a little bit more in order to start the first episode of Judge jonE5. But just to give you a brief overview of what happened: a car, a drone, a crash. A drone that got ran over and ultimately destroyed. Who was at fault? That's what we're going to be discussing here on Judge jonE5. Tonight, we're going to make a ruling that will stand, and it's not actually legally binding, but it was just something we're going to kind of do for fun. So how did this come about? Well, I was on the Bot Grinder Discord earlier, as you do throughout the work day, and somebody was regaling us of a story of their drone that got ran over by a speeding teenager, and the facts were slowly extracted so that I could present them to you. I told them to give me the facts. Judge jonE5 will preside over this case, and I will issue down a ruling. So that's what is going on here today. Michael says he wants the DJI Mini one. I don't have that one particularly, but that's okay. Where's Juan Pablo? I don't know where that guy is. So what do you guys think? Now, regardless of whatever we come up with for the verdict in this case, remember that a drone is destroyed. And let's just take the first look at this drone right now. A drone is destroyed. A drone's been ran over. I don't know of any of these parts that are going to be recoverable, so let's all have a little bit of sympathy for the owner right here. None of the names or locations in question will be revealed because I don't actually know any of them, but I thought it would be an interesting case to present to the community and have all of us weigh in on what we think. So Now, a couple of caveats. If you're out flying and you need to land, maybe don't do it in the street. But there's a lot more to this case than just that, and we're going to present all of the facts to you. And then after that, we're going to be talking about the sharkbyte system that you can see right here and where that actually fits into the community, where the sharkbyte system is going to fit. I've been testing it lately. It's got some shortcomings. It's got some good things about it. But is it too little too late? Is DJI essentially an insurmountable mountain to be recovered, or are the racing community going to actually adopt it? They've been saying that they like it. They've been saying that it's better than DJI, but in the actual practice, the numbers, I think there's probably a few more DJI racers out there than there are sharkbyte racers, just my guess. But either way, analog still reigns supreme in racing, period. More than either one of them. Juan Pablo says, Spider Monkey says, let's start calling it HD0. Yeah, I just can't. I call it by the name of the unit, the module, like, you know, like rapid fire, sharkbyte. Maybe I'll try to see if I can. Once we get the actual HD0 camera in my hands, I'll probably start calling it HD0. Hopefully. RC Ritter is here. We got about 20 folks in, so let's start presenting you guys the evidence in this case. So, welcome to the courtroom of Judge jonE5, where the people in cases are real. The destruction of quads is real. The names and locations are going to be hidden in order to be protecting the innocent until proven guilty. Gargola asks, is that a rum and coke? It's actually a michelada, sort of like a spicy beer mix. If you're not from the South, then it's sort of like a Bloody Mary, except you put beer and it's a little bit spicier. So, let's start presenting you guys the facts in this case. First off, the story as it was explained to me was a guy was out ripping in a normal place that he normally rips. This is a picture of this location where everything goes down. As you can see, this is kind of where he generally parks and sits and rips, diving this little thing. When nobody's generally around, it's kind of off to the off by himself. That's where he rips. And so he was ripping, minding his own business. While he was in goggles, a car pulled up with some teenagers inside, and they started asking him questions about the drone, about FPV, and they said, hey, follow my car with your drone. So he could see who he was talking to. He landed the quad so that these teenagers could follow, or so he could follow them in the drone. So he landed the quad, and here is a diagram given to me by the defendant in this case. You can see clearly marked in that by that little red dot of where the drone was. Now, what the teenagers decided to do was to pull straight towards the drone in order to make a U-turn so they could go out and be chased by the drone. Now, this gentleman's spotters tried to tell them, no, don't go forward, you need to back up. Now, either they were ignoring it or they just didn't hear it, and the teenagers pulled forward, running over the drone. And the drone, as you can see, was quite crunched by this incident. I'm guessing it could be a total loss here. The frame was absolutely broken to bits. The flight controller is exposed. It pretty much ripped the top plate off. Actually, it looked like it ripped the flight controller off away from the ESC, so we could assume that most of the electronics here are probably toast. That GoPro is probably crunched up pretty good. So There's a number of factors at play here. You know, this is a complicated case, guys. There's a lot of ins, a lot of outs, a lot of what have yous. Now, in a case like this, what happened after the drone got crunched is he said he remained calm, but told the teenagers, look, you need to pay for the drone. So it starts off with this gentleman ripping at this place off by himself. So teenagers come by. They ask him to follow them with the drone. He lands in order to switch packs or whatever he's going to do in order to try to accommodate them, show them a little bit of FPV. Nothing wrong with that. Especially people are asking about it. But what happens next is the driver pulls the wrong way, runs over the quad, and the result is now this crunched up quad. That's the result. So he says, okay, teenager, you need to get your parents here right now and you need to pay for my drone. You just ran it over. The kid responds back with, no, I'm not doing that, and my dad's a lawyer. So essentially the kid was saying, you better lawyer up. You better lawyer up. Which is sort of an intimidating statement. So the police were called. They came out. They take the statements. They felt bad for our FPV pilot here, but no tickets were issued to either party in the situation. So naturally, our FPV pilot is a bit distraught over the loss of his quad. Yes, it's an iFlight bind and fly. It looks like a Nazgul with some Ethics watermelon props and some type of a GoPro Hero. So you can potentially assume that this may be a beginner. You can potentially assume that they may not have budget and may not have 10 quads at home. This might be their only quad, I don't know. So they were pretty upset about it, and they felt a little hopeless, and they felt that responsibility at minimum should be taken, and possibly at the very minimum at least shared, if not taking full responsibility. So my first question was, where did the actual crunching of the drone take place? Because I didn't have the diagrams yet. I said, where did it take place? I was putting on my robes. I was pulling out the gavel because it was time for Judge jonE5 to step into court. So tell me, where was it crunched? And the question was, well, it was the kid's fault. It was the kid's fault. It was the kid's fault. That was the response. And I said, no. You got to tell me, where was the drone crunched? Where was the drone crunched? So a brief summary for everybody joining the stream right now is we have a crunched drone. A drone that was ran over. A drone that is potentially a total loss for an FPV pilot who is naturally very distraught over the senseless killing of his drone. Yes, Exhibit A, you can see the skid marks where the drone was dragged a little bit. And so here is the scene. This is the location from the street view. You can see this is a previous day where the FPV pilot typically flies. He likes to dive this little structure right here when no one's around, which is fine. Some teenagers drove up, saw him flying, thought it was cool, and asked him could he follow them in his drone, follow their car. So he thought, at very minimum, let me land and see who was actually trying to talk to me while I'm flying. So he landed essentially in front of where that car is parked in this photo. The cars that pulled up was kind of alongside him. So here's the top-down diagram of what happened next. The teenagers in the car decided to make a U-turn so they could go back the other way so he could follow them. And they didn't realize he had landed right there on the street. His spotters tried to tell them, no, don't go forward, go backward, but either they didn't hear or they decided to ignore. I think it was probably an accident, but we don't know either way for sure. As he pulled forward to make a U-turn, the drone was ran over. It was laying flat on the street. And so our FPV pilot, quite distraught, was regaling us this story in the Bot Grinder chat. Discord, go sub to Bot Grinder. Thank you for Bot Grinder for making his Discord available in order for these stories to be told. And so I decided to bring it to the community and let Judge jonE5 preside. Now I'd like to know what your thoughts on the matter. So FPV pilots ripping. Teenagers come up as he's in goggles and ask him to follow their car. He lands to assess, who am I talking to? Do I want to do that? Maybe I want to do that. They turn around so that he can follow him, and they don't realize he's landed on the street. Now my first question to him was, where did you land? Where was the drone when it was ran over? Was the drone on the sidewalk? And did these teenagers jump the curb and run over your drone as it's sitting on the sidewalk or on the grass or any of this grassy area over here? Or was your drone in the roadway? And was it ran over by an automobile operating in the roadway? And as we can see from the diagram from above, it was in the roadway. So my thoughts are, this would probably be one of the first questions asked by a judge. And so it's kind of like, here's my thoughts. Another way to put this, another way that you could explain this scenario. So if you were walking down the street and you happen to drop your cell phone into the street, a car comes by. Before you can grab it, they don't see it because it's lying flat on the street and they run over it. Do you think that that driver is responsible? Or are you responsible for allowing your property to go into the roadway? Either way, we need to be sympathetic to this FPV pilot. Of course, they're understandably upset. They're talking about taking legal action, maybe getting a lawyer of their own to go after this kid's lawyer dad, if the kid's dad is a lawyer. As he asked, he said he remained calm and said, hey, you need to pay for my drone. You need to call your parents here. And the teenager behind the wheel said, I'm not doing that. Besides, my dad's a lawyer anyway, so you don't really want me to call him. So if you want to do something, then you're going to have to lawyer up. You're going to have to lawyer up. So I think what is going to end up happening is he's talking about possibly trying to take this kid to small claims court, which is cheaper than getting a lawyer. And then a judge like me would preside. Has anyone ever been to small claims court? Do you know how much it costs? Like, does it cost more than an analog bind and fly quad? I'm just curious about that. So yeah, this does seem to be an analog bind and fly Nazgul. Now a Nazgul in pre-chip shortage pricing, you could get them on a good day for 160 bucks. Normally you get them about 180, 190 bucks. So let's just run through the facts for the people that are just getting on the stream now one more time. So we have a gentleman that's out ripping, flying some packs, minding his own business. This is the location from the street where he's flying. He's kind of sitting right there. He's kind of sitting right there and flying and diving this little structure in the background. As he's in the goggles, a car drives up beside him and some teenagers, and they ask him like some questions about his drone and say, can you follow my car with your drone? So he lands to see who he is talking to, and this is the scenario from above. So he lands kind of in front of where his car is. Now, the teenagers must not see him land, so they try to bust a U-turn to go back the other way so he can follow them. They don't see the drone that's on the street, or maybe they do. We don't know if it's intentional or not. As they're making a U-turn, they run over the drone, crunching it, basically destroying it. And this is the aftermath. As he approaches them calmly from how he describes, he tells them that, hey, you ran over my drone. It needs to get paid for. Please call your parents. The teenager behind the wheel said, no, I'm not doing that. And my dad's a lawyer. So our young FPV pilot, actually I don't know if he's young or old. I don't really know who it is, to be honest. Our FPV pilot, though, is naturally distraught and feels that it is the fault of the driver and that they should take all, or at minimum some, of the responsibility for this incident. However, as some of the people in the chat have pointed out, Game of Drones says if it's on the street, it's the car's domain for reals. And I quote, and I tend to agree. Now, if he would have landed the drone in the grassy area right behind where he was, and then they ran over it, then I'd be saying a different story. As it was, though, the drone was in the roadway, and the car was operating in the roadway. And it just, you know, even a 5-inch quad, when it's landed on the street, I mean, it's almost invisible. It's very low to the ground, and it's not really that big, you know. So I could see somebody not understanding. I don't know if this person is in the chat. I did post it in the bot grinder. You know, so this all occurred in the bot grinder Discord, where I initially heard this story. And so let me just make sure that they know over there. And so I was in the bot grinder Discord, as you do throughout the workday, and I heard this story, and he was upset. He was talking about securing legal counsel, about taking this individual to small claims court, and immediately I sprung into action and said, okay, give me the facts. Judge jonE5 will submit a ruling, but not before I present the facts to the community and let the community chime in, as we are all FPV pilots, as we all love all of our drones and all of our quads. What do you think? Who is responsible? Should the responsibility be split, or does all of the responsibility ultimately land on the FPV pilot for landing in the street or the roadway? So let's go over some of the comments and see what you guys think. Spider Monkey says, never land in the street with cars around. Game of Drones said the spoiled rich kid privileged lawyers should buy him a new Nazgul. Case closed. Some dude said, always land on your foot. If a car runs over it, then you have a case. You know, that's a true bot grinder move. He always lands on his feet. So yeah, that's straight up gangster. Spider Monkey says, always hand catch. June Kalele says, who's in trouble? FPV Girl says that it super sucks, but it's the pilot's fault. That's kind of what I feel like. Mr. Spat says, spend the money for the lawyer on another drone and move on. Yeah, I tend to agree. June Kalele says that it's DJI's fault. I think this quad is analog, but you know, hey. Derek says he needs his popcorn. DQ says it's not worth it for the Nazgul. Salvage whatever parts you can, get a new frame, and start rebuilding. Yeah, I tend to agree, kind of. It's very unfortunate. June Clay says, are you drinking White Claw too? No, this is a Michelada. It's a beer with a spicy sort of mix in there. FPV Girl said that she got a Chimera 7 from Race Day Quads for $257, a deal that she saw in the FPV Sales Alerts group. If you're not in the FPV Sales Alerts group on Facebook, join it. We had some crazy deals this past week. Hold on one second, guys. Here's one of the deals that I got. That iFlight Chimera 7-inch was a crazy deal. It was a DJI bind and fly. It's the same one that I just reviewed on the channel. That's a $630 quad, and it was on sale for $257. You see this iFlight ProTech right here? Check out this iFlight ProTech, guys. This iFlight ProTech Cinewoop. You know how much I got this quad for? This is bind and fly. I got it for $68. $68! Can you believe it? I'm gonna turn it into a coaster, and I'm just gonna put my drink on it for this price. Yeah, so definitely make sure that you are in there. DQ said that he just snagged one for $200 as a backup. That's not a bad price for that Nazgul. It's a great quad. Brandon Bean says that you got your drone run over. It's your fault. Don't play in the road. Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree. So I mean, it's tough, guys. You know, it's tough. And I feel for the pilot. We all should. Anybody that's ever lost a drone. I've lost a drone into a little pond by my house. Every time I go fly there, I keep thinking if I'll ever find that drone. It was the very first build I ever built, and I flew it in there, never to be seen again, less than 24 hours after I finished building it. You know how long it takes you to get your first build going? And back then, I only knew about shops like Banggood. This was like 2017 or so. And so it almost put me out of the hobby forever, losing that quad, guys. It really did. I was so upset. I spent hours and hours and hours looking for it. I never found it. And so I had to order all new parts and wait 5 to 6 weeks for them all to arrive in order to start all over again. So I definitely feel for this guy. I don't know if he has budget to be able to get a new quad. Hopefully he does. Hopefully he can get back in the air. Let's read a couple more of these opinions for these guys. RC Ritter says, was the drone registered? I don't know. I didn't think to ask that. Brandon says he's gotten helis ran over in the street and he didn't complain. Yeah. So I asked the night spot crew that I fly with, if we were out flying in the night spot, you crashed and somehow either ended up in the street or somewhere in the parking lot, and before you could get to your quad, a car came by, even if it was one of us, if we were driving in to come fly, and they didn't see it and they ran it over, would we hold them responsible? And Joe Mama said that he would run and dive in front of his quad in order to save it, but if it did get ran over, he would not blame the driver. And I tend to agree with that too. FPV Girl says, "Where's the GoPro footage?" You know, I did ask for additional footage, and I also asked for additional photos and explanation, but this was what I got to work with, so this is what we're going to present to you guys. So just one more recap on this. Here is the location from the street where he was diving this thing. The teenagers rolled up and asked him to follow them in their car. He landed in order to see who was talking to him. And as he agreed to follow them, they pulled over and to do a U-turn to go back the other way in the street so that he could follow them. They didn't see that he had landed the drone in the street and they ran it over, resulting in this crunched quad. So it seems like the general consensus is in agreement with Judge jonE5. So as much as it pains us all to make this ruling, I think that we have to find that the motorist, as long as they were operating their vehicle in the bounds of the roadway, should not be held responsible for this. And so I told them either way, we want to know the outcome. So if you do end up taking this individual to small claims court, please keep us in the loop throughout the process. Either way, we hope that you get back in the air soon and then you get to ripping. Let's read a couple of more of these comments. Chet Mac says, that sucks, but you gotta eat that one. Yep. Kind of agree. DQ says, same with a skateboard. If you bail on it and it ends up in the street and a car runs it over, it's not the driver's fault. You just buy a new deck and push on. Yeah, you know what? I'm really glad you brought that up, DQ. That's actually a really good example. Skateboarders have probably been dealing with this exact type of thing for probably a pretty long time. So yeah, thanks for chiming that in. I can't imagine that it would be worth 1 hour of lawyer costs. Would probably cost more than a new quad. Yeah, I mean, but then again, with chip shortage prices, who knows? FPV Girl says, honestly, get used to spending hella money because that's the hobby. Kinda did him a favor. Yeah, I mean, if you fly hard, you crash hard, you are going to be spending. For me, when I was still a beginner, I didn't really crash that much. I didn't really break that much. I think I spent like almost my first whole year and I barely broke a prop other than that first quad that I lost. So, if you fly pretty easy, you probably don't break that much. And so I don't know if he was that kind of pilot or not. The props do look in pretty good condition. So maybe he was the kind of pilot that never crashed and hasn't been used to spending money, but he may have to spend some in this instance. Ritter says, kid's dad doesn't care how much time he wastes. Seriously, legal action over a $200 quad, not worth it. Was the GoPro running? Yeah, I don't know. I want to know. If the GoPro footage is out there, pilot, please contact me. Give me the GoPro footage. We'll do a follow-up to this case later once the verdict is in. Coreyman says, was it a binding flight? If so, go back to the manufacturer and tell them it's not durable enough and want a new one. Yeah, complain to iFlight. Hey guys, your quad wouldn't even take a car running over it, so what are you going to do about it? Send me a new one. iFlight, if you see this video, contact this pilot, get him a new quad. I mean, that is a durability test, I will have to say. Oh, man. You don't lawyer up for a small claims court if it's under $6,000. The judge decides. That's right. That's why Judge jonE5 is on the case, guys. Yeah. Is he selling some fat sharks now? Oh, man. Oh, Spider Monkey. You're kicking him while he's down, guys. You're kicking him while he's down. Cars have the right of way, says Velez Kids. Yeah, he should have landed in the grass. I agree with that part. James Hinton said, that's a dope spot. Plenty of motivation to build another quad. Yeah, you know what? This really is a dope spot. I have to agree with that. That's a really good point, Jameson. Yeah, look at this spot, man. I mean, there's like, generally, it looks like kind of an area with a little cul-de-sac and this tower. And I could see that if there's nobody around, this would be a completely awesome place to rip. I mean, there's some trees, there's a little bit of wide open spaces. This is like a cul-de-sac dead end, so there's not really going to be much, if any, traffic in there. So what a pretty cool place to fly. A GoPro stopped recording 9 seconds before because it got stomped. Slop it. Are you the pilot? Slop it. Are you the pilot? If you are, let me know. A drone bag got ran over at I.O. Oh, man. Oh, that sounds terrible. Nobody approaching me is going to be important enough to land my quad anywhere that's not at my feet. That's a good point, Yarbs. That's a good point. Look at how famous I'd be. I try not to crash too, but it's still my first year and I fly like a grandpa. That's okay. Fly as slow and gingerly as you have to. There's no shame in flying slow. And you know what? If you can fly 12 packs flying slow or 2 packs flying fast and then crash and break everything, I'd go with the 12 packs every time. So yeah, don't feel bad. Go at your own pace. Speed up as you want to speed up. And if you don't end up racing, that's fine too. Nobody has to go 1,000 miles an hour. Shames is here, man. I didn't see the I.O. rematch. I was waiting. I heard about it. So what happened, Shames? Shames is here. If you didn't see the latest race vlog where Lamone faced off against Shames, that's my new format that I'm trying to make and showcase FPV more in the format of a show versus just like a vlog or kind of a episode of just showing some racing. I really wanted to show what it's like to be there, show the competition, show a little bit of the trash talking, and it was really cool to have Shames come all the way down from Missouri to face off against our top guy. Some of the most exciting racing I've ever gotten to witness, and we had Neil announcing, who's one of the best announcers in the game. He's right up there, right behind Scully himself. Yarp says, that person approaching is threatening. My quad's coming back to home is also going to be threatening. Jameson says, start a GoFundMe for the quad. Yeah, I mean, hey, I I can't. I don't know who it is. If you're in the chat, let us know. You know what? Maybe somebody can send you some parts or something. Somebody auctioned off some gear to help them out. It's pronounced slop tit. I don't know what that's in reference to. Chris says it's all good, man. Thanks for the advice. Grandpa for the win. Lamone is now 14th in the world. June says, show us your quads. I got too many to show you. My sharkbyte quad is in the garage. I did fly it today on a track. I got about 12 or 13 packs. I think I got 2 or 3 on sharkbyte. And so I was flying back and forth analog and sharkbyte. I was going to fly DJI too, but I forgot my crossfire module at home, so I couldn't do that. But this is the quad that I got from the FPV Sales Alerts sale last week. $68, guys, for this iFlight ProTech. If you're not in the group, join that Facebook group. It's where all the deals go down. This sharkbyte module, you know how much I got that thing for? $160. FPV Sales Alerts group, guys. I'm telling you, $160. That's why I'm doing the Fat Shark Sharkbyte content right now, because I was able to get the module on super sale. And so you can get all of your FPV goods on super sale too if you get in that group. Telling you 3 quads versus 3 quads, winner take all, and gets to keep the quad. Shames is now 5th in the world. Oh, nice, man. Shames moving up. Mitsubishi for Dirty Vegas. Oh yeah. We need to put up or shut up. Congrats, Shames. Yeah, that's awesome. Shames got his revenge on Lamone. I'll probably see Lamone at the night spot tomorrow, so we'll be sure and ask him what happened. When you got to the big stage, why didn't you represent Houston? So congrats to Shames on the big win, getting his vengeance on Lamone. Shames is in Missouri representing for sure. Just got a Nazgul HD LED 6S, and I think I'm in love. Contagious says, oh, Contagious, how much was that with, you know, post-chip shortage pricing? Just a little bit curious. So the final verdict is the FPV pilot is responsible. He landed the drone in the roadway. The driver of the car should have been more aware, yes. Is the kid a scumbag? It sounds like it. Is this a crappy situation? Most definitely. Do we all feel for you for losing a quad? Yes, we feel for you. We feel terribly bad for you. But the car was operating in the roadway. The drone was in the roadway. And it got ran over. Stuff happens. If it makes you feel any better, I've probably killed about 5 of these quads worth of batteries this year alone. Oh, the Tattoo V4s are expensive, guys. The Tattoo V4s are expensive, and when they die, it really, really stings. It stings bad. It stings bad. So, next up on the topic, now that Judge jonE5 has laid down a ruling, a verdict of, sounds like the driver was not guilty, guys. You know, what am I going to say? Sorry about that. But Contagious says that the Nazgul HD with LEDs 6S version was $399. That's not bad. I mean, that's really not bad considering that's about, you know, a 25 to 30% price increase, but, you know, not terrible. Yeah, so, hey, that's going to be an awesome quad. The Nazgul is an awesome quad, period. So now let's shift gears, guys. Let's shift gears and talk a little bit about the sharkbyte system. As you can see, I've uploaded 2 videos on sharkbyte already. First was talking about the Scout HD and how I think it's a miserable offering, how I think that most people are going to be better off not buying it, how I think that it's generally without any sort of analog input, basically a giant lump of coal. It's a lump of coal that Santa would bring you for Christmas if you've been naughty all year. You know, what you really want if you want to experience with the sharkbyte system is to get the VRX module and a set of HDO2 goggles right there. Of course, this is not perfect either. The sharkbyte system definitely has its shortcomings. One of them, of course, is the DVR. Although we've been complaining about the DVR in the goggles themselves for many many years. And although there are multiple other goggle manufacturers that are actually listening to FPV, DJI, Orca, and SkyZone are all delivering quality DVRs that you can record analog footage with. sharkbyte still came out with this product with a subpar DVR. It will make your footage look like a backup camera from a 1997 Toyota Previa minivan. It's very disappointing. It's very confusing. It's very bamboozling. I don't know what they're doing, what they're thinking over there. But the system itself is a much better picture than analog. If you put the right kit together, it can be much less expensive than DJI. It's certainly lighter than DJI. One of the things that I'm going to talk about in my review was that I don't like the fact that this new Race VTX, the new sharkbyte Race VTX, you know the one I'm talking about, the 20x21, the one that's as long as a banquet hall table, the stretch limo of VTXs, the sharkbyte Race VTX, 20x20 mounting, but the thing is as long as, my goodness, I wish it was as long as something else. It's completely ridiculous how long this thing is. But what's most disturbing is the Woo board is actually a pretty good offering. Other than its clumsy mounting and size, it's $50 for an HD video transmitter. And it only goes up to 200 milliwatts. So it does 25 milliwatts, good for racing, good for whatever, and it does 200 milliwatts. Not a lot of power, not a lot of range, but decent enough. A lot of us can get by on 200 milliwatts just fine. I can get by on 200 milliwatts in most instances just fine. I'm fine with that. It's a decent price. That means with a $50 camera and a $10 antenna, you can get a digital video system for $110, which is $50 cheaper per drone than the DJI video system. Not bad. So then why is the Race VTX $90? Why? 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 It's just a different shape. It's just a different shape. It still only goes to 200 milliwatts. So why is it $90 instead of $40? Why does it now cost you to use the Race VTX more than Caddx Nebula Pro DJI video transmitter system? Why? Why? You know, if the benefit of sharkbyte was that it's lighter, it's smaller, it's lower latency, the image isn't as good, but it's cheaper. That would be something. But now it's all of those shortcomings and it's more expensive. What? What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing over there? What are they doing over there? What is up with this pricing? It's disappointing. It's disappointing to say the least, some of the pricing coming out for the sharkbyte system. I do have a lot of hope for the HD0 camera. Miguel actually pointed something out earlier as we were discussing it. And the HD0 camera does look like the best image we've seen. It does have it must have a much more quality lens. The image just looks very close to DJI. It's very promising. We're all very excited. But compared to all the other cameras out there, compared to the DigiSight 2, compared to the DJI offerings, compared to even something like the Foxeer Predator Nano V5, the most popular racing camera, the lens is much closer to the body. So if you put it in a mount that's meant for a racing quad, that's meant for the Predator Nano V5, is the lens going to be too far back to where you're going to see the edges of the camera mount, to where you're going to see the standoff, to where you're going to see the top plate? Are all new mounts going to have to be designed for this camera? Are people going to actually go through the trouble of doing that? I don't know. I mean, I do like that the lens doesn't stick out. I mean, it's not that... It seems like it would be a nice problem, but he pointed out that pretty much all mounts out there are designed for cameras that have a lens that is much more proud. So that's another interesting fact. So what do you guys think? Are you using the sharkbyte system? I've flown it. I'm actually enjoying it. I mean, I don't know if it's just the quad that I happened to build and put it on, but that Armor 10 4-inch that I built, it's light, it's powerful with the Emax 1606. It's not something I would carry an action camera on, but like it just feels so good. It goes exactly where I want it. The latency is ultra low, and the combination of a perfect weight. Now, if I had the DJI system on there, it would probably be 12 or 15 grams heavier, which is about 8 or 10% heavier, and that would impact the flight performance. So just by virtue of the sharkbyte system being lighter, I can, at that small scale, build a better performing quad, a quad that's going to fly better. Now, a lot of times we think, okay, well, what's 12 or 15 grams? Well, on a full-size 5-inch quad, that's, 400 grams or 360 grams or 330 grams. It's not that much. But on a quad that's 140 grams, it's greater than 10%. So that's a significant difference in the flight feel, and having that reduction in weight on the sharkbyte system, I can't see quite the amount of detail, but the flight experience is very, very good. Now, here's another note on the sharkbyte system. Now, sharkbyte lovers, you might want to cover your ears for this one. You might want to cover your ears for this one because you're not going to like it. I can already tell you're not going to like it. But here's the problem with sharkbyte and every sharkbyte camera out there. You know what the problem with it is? It's the 16:9 camera image. Nobody uses 16:9 in FPV. Nobody uses 16:9 in FPV. Why do you keep putting out 16:9 cameras, especially cameras on a system that is claimed to have low latency, so racers are gonna love it? Well, guess what, guys? I tried racing that system on a track earlier today, and there's no view in the top and the bottom of the frame because it's chopped off because it's 16:9. I need 4:3, guys. I need 4:3. I can't see above me. I can't see below me. I had at least 2 crashes into branches above me that I would have seen had the image actually been a proper FPV camera image. The 16:9 is a failure, and don't go claiming that the system is for racing. And for me personally, the 16:9 image is worse for racing than the latency of the DJI system is for racing. And I'll say it again, the 16:9 image of the sharkbyte cameras is worse for racing than the latency of the DJI system. Now, there is some latency on DJI system. I don't feel it at my speed. But there are people that will feel it. Anybody in the top 100 ranks of multi-GP is probably going to be able to feel that latency. It's going to negatively impact them, not to mention the extra weight that you have to load onto your quad to install the DJI system. Now, all of that, I still like it. It's great. At my speed, I can enjoy the beautiful image. I can see all the ghost branches. It's 4:3. The latency is low enough to where it doesn't slow me down. In fact, it speeds me up because I can actually see where I'm going. But the sharkbyte system, even though the latency is low, the image can't show you anything above or below you. So it's either I crank my camera angle super high and then I can't see anything above me, or I crank it lower and now I can't see anything. It's just why do you keep giving us 16:9? We don't want 16:9. We want 4:3. Why can't you get that through your heads? And why, for the love of freaking everything, do you keep leaving the in-camera on-screen display defaulted on for every camera that you've sold us? Nobody uses the in-camera OSD since 2017. Ever since Betaflight came out with the OSD, we don't use it. Default it off. Default it off. It's a pain in the ass. Every time we buy a camera, we gotta pull out that gosh darn controller and turn the freaking thing off. Default it off. The fact that you don't listen to that after 5 years of us telling you, how long is it going to take you to give us a 4x3 camera? Even DJI gave us a 4x3 camera right off the bat. And everyone's supposed to say, like, oh, DJI doesn't know anything about FPV, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, guess what? They gave it to us. And sharkbyte still hasn't. So, is the HD0 camera going to be able to do 4x3? Because if it ain't, then it ain't going to be good for racing. And I'll tell you that right now. And I'm going to be building up a quad for racing. I got the 533 Switchback HD version, the long body one, the one that can fit that sharkbyte or DJI Vista in there. The stretch limo of racing quads. It's on the way, guys. I'm going to be installing that Race VTX sharkbyte in there. And we're going to see how it does. We're going to see how it does. But when I'm going on the night spot, when I'm making that split S in the back parking garage and I can't see below me enough to avoid crashing into that metal car park, it's just going to be beyond frustrating. Because we don't fly 16:9. It's useless. It's garbage. And you want to charge us $50 a pop to cut the top and the bottom off of our viewpoint? I mean, it's like we're wearing horse blinders. It's just disgusting. It's disgusting. All right, let's catch up on the comments. Sorry, guys. I got a little carried away. FPV Girl says that I wish the sharkbyte stuff wasn't so weird shaped. I totally agree. I actually like the Whoop board. If you have a frame that has Whoop mounting, it's quite good if you're using a Whoop board in it. But if you're not, what are you supposed to do? And it only goes up to 200 milliwatts? Like, can you freestyle it? It doesn't penetrate anything. The penetration is terrible. It's horrible. You know, everyone had been saying how bad the penetration of DJI is. And it is bad compared to analog. Analog penetration of organic matter, of foliage, is analog can penetrate foliage. DJI cannot very well. But how much less sharkbyte can penetrate foliage than DJI is crazy. It's like 10%. Like DJI could make it like 100 meters flying around a big brush of thick bushes. Like if you get like 50 feet of bushes, DJI can make it about 100 meters before it conks out. Sharkbyte, like, can make it like 10 feet. It's like, it's so laughable, the lack of penetration on that system. John says sharkbyte just isn't really that cost effective when you sit down and consider it. Yeah, you know, that's the thing though. If it was more cost effective, then I could really get behind it. Like if you could build a quad, like a good analog system on your quad is going to be about 75 to 85 bucks. So if sharkbyte was 85 to $100, man, that would be something. You know, you save 50, 60 bucks a quad compared to DJI. You don't get quite the image, but you're saving. You're getting latency. But there's so many other compromises that you have to make. Is there any future where DJI and multi-GP can have to switch? Would I have to switch to analog to go to I/O? You know, if anybody is at I/O, was there anybody flying DJI? I don't know, man. Anywhere where there's going to be a lot of hardcore racers, it could be problematic for you. Not everyone is as accommodating as the Houston crew. If you show up in Houston, we're going to get you in the air, all right? If you come to Houston from anywhere in the world, we will get you in the air. I don't care if you show up with a tiny whoop. We're going to get you on the track if that's what you want to do. If you show up with a freestyle quad, we're going to get you on the track. If you show up with sharkbyte, if you show up with DJI, we're going to get you on the track. You know, we had people show up with that Connex system. We didn't know what it was. We didn't know what kind of channels to go on. We still let that guy fly. We're going to let you fly no matter what. But not every chapter is accommodating than that. They have the people that are like, you know, trying to be gatekeepers. Like, fuck those guys, man. I'm sorry. If you show up and it's not like a major race. Now, if there's a big race with prizes on the line, okay. I get that they can't let everybody fly if they can't coordinate the assignments properly. But if it's just a fun fly and an everyday weekend and they're not letting you fly, please come let me know. and we will talk about it publicly, because that's not cool. Contagious says, for about the same price, why wouldn't someone just go DJI for the best picture? Yeah, you know, that's kind of what I've been saying, but I'm trying to give sharkbyte system its fair shake and see if it's better for anything than DJI. And so I still have more testing to do before I can really formulate an opinion, but, you know, hey. June says, what's your opinion on the old school computer school Racer Star 35 amp all-in-one ESC board? Are you talking about the 35 amp Racer Star Anniversary Edition ESC? That's one of the best ESCs of all time. I mean, I still have 2 or 3 sitting around in package. It's virtually unkillable. To this day, it's one of the most robust ESCs I've ever had on the market. I've used dozens of them. They're just great to this day. And especially now that you can load up BL Heli S and still do bidirectional D-shot. I mean, BL Heli 32 doesn't really have as much of an advantage as it once did. Jeffro says that he only runs 16x9. Well, then sharkbyte could be the system for you. Carl said that he will be working on a camera that's switchable to 4x3. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. You know, I messaged Carl today. I don't think he liked my last video comparing DJI to sharkbyte to analog. I was really trying to be objective about it. Spider Monkey actually pointed out that I kind of designed the test to be nicer to sharkbyte. You know, and I didn't say that in the video, but I guess he caught on, like, and I kind of did. You know, I really made the test between sharkbyte, DJI, and analog very, very close range. And even then, you still saw some pretty bad breakup in the sharkbyte system. But if I would have designed that test more along the lines that we normally fly, sharkbyte would have really looked nasty. I mean, I'm just going to say it. And guess what, guys? That test is coming. I'm going to do all 3 at the night spot and see what that's going to look like. And, you know, the first few people that got sharkbyte at the night spot reported that it was unflyable. But that was in the first month of release. So we're going to see if the updates and the quality control has improved enough to allow us to fly in one of the most famous FPV spots in the world. We have people flying from all states, all countries to come fly the night spot. And so if sharkbyte doesn't fly at the night spot, then get ready for a thumbnail that says unflyable, because I'm not going to hide it. If it's not flyable, I'm not going to hide it. And I don't care what you say. You got to be able to fly at the night spot. It's one of the best spots in the world. So if you can't do it, I hope that it can do it. I mean, I want to race on it there. I mean, so, hey, crossing my fingers. We're going to find out tomorrow. Real pilots fly 4x3. Yeah, that's right. Let's catch up on some of these comments. I hope the new camera is awesome. James says, yeah. I didn't know sharkbait was that bad. You know, there's some good things about it. The image is definitely good. So here's the breakdown, and I'm going to talk about this more in a video, but here's the breakdown. Spoiler alert. Analog is like PlayStation 1. Sharkbite is like PlayStation 2. So it's an order of magnitude better. It's a whole generation better. But DJI is like PlayStation 4. It like skips a whole thing. It's not just a little bit better than sharkbite. It's like 2 generations of evolution better than sharkbite. And the thing is, DJI's older. Sharkbite's newer, and it's like the look of it, the penetration of it, the effectiveness of it, the robustness of it. It's 2 generations behind. So if I had to make an analogy, analog would be like PlayStation 1. Sharkbite would be like PlayStation 2. DJI is like PlayStation 4. It's like two complete generations of evolution better as far as image quality, as far as bit rate of the recordings, as far as robustness and reliability of the units themselves. Yes, the Vista is still a little bit big and a little bit heavy, but it's essentially encased in armor, and that thing is so tough. I've never had components that have lasted so long as the DJI components. They're almost virtually unkillable. So, you know. Tonomoto says that for some reason I have a 200 milliwatt VTX that works awesomely good in a place of my house. It's like a Wi-Fi black hole. That's cool. It's not a bad system. It's actually pretty good. Yeah, it's not bad. It's just, if you compare it to DJI, then it is kind of bad. But people say, well, why you compare it to DJI? Well, because it costs the same. Or actually, if you use the new Race VTX, it's going to cost slightly more. So if it costs more, you got to compare it to that. I mean, I don't know what to say. You don't crop vertical on 69. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. If you have a sky cell with native 69, then 69 is fine. PS5, yeah. So we don't have PS5 digital video yet, but hopefully one day we will. Okay, if you want to know like what PS5 is, and I know some people are not going to agree with this, but PS5 would be the DJI FPV drone. And even though that drone is like not really for FPV pilots, if you ever flown the FPV in that, the quality is like mind-blowingly good. It's an order of magnitude better than like the Vista unit. So in case if you ever thought that the FPV view on the FPV drone was the same, it's not the same. It's better. It's incredible. That would be like PlayStation 5. So if we could get that technology on an FPV scale to where we can build it ourselves, that would be like the freaking ultimate. Pricing is not is absolutely a part of comparison, says John. Yeah, I mean, if they cost the same, or if sharkbyte costs more, then like you have to compare it. Like why would people just spend more money for something that's not as good? Now, if it was $90 a quad, okay, don't compare it, But the pricing as it is, hey, you got to compare it. You have to compare it. Jameson says, I would say DJI would be like PS4 and sharkbait would be like the GameCube. Dude, the GameCube was pretty awesome. I mean, I love the GameCube. I remember Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube, or like that freaking Mario game. Like, the GameCube was pretty dope. It was pretty sweet. Being honest from personal experience with both systems. June says original FPV, the DJI body camera image is amazing, especially in DigiView. Dual band OcuSync Runcam Vista Pro. I don't think they cost the same if you already got the FPV equipment. They do. Okay, so, let's just do a fun little bit of math, a little accounting. Okay, so first we're going to talk about the cost per quad. So if you use the Whoop sharkbyte board, $50. $50, cameras $50, we're at $100. Antenna, let's just say $10. You can get an antenna now for $10. If you want an Axie antenna, you're gonna pay $20, but let's say $10. So sharkbyte, we'll call it the budget system, $110. Nebula Pro, $160. So $50 difference, not bad. But that Whoop VTX is not going to fit into a lot of quads. What will probably fit in more quads, but still not a lot because it's like gigantically long. But what will fit in more quads is the new Race 20x20 VTX. That's super long. I mean, it's gigantically long. It's longer than my dining room table. That thing costs $90. So $90 plus the camera cost of $50 plus the antenna cost of $10 to $20. Now we're at $160, guys. $160, same as DJI. So So then if they cost exactly the same per quad, then what? Let's talk about the cost of the goggles, because this is what people love to bring up: the cost for the goggles, the cost for the goggles. Now, my contention is that the majority of FPV pilots need, at least on occasion, to be able to fly analog. My contention is that most FPV pilots need to fly analog at least on occasion. So this is the ultimate sharkbyte setup. It is HDO2 goggles, $500. It is sharkbyte VRX, $250. We're at $750. It is rapid fire, $150. So now we're at $900. Then we're at $20 for these antennas, which is $920, and we're at $30 for these antennas, so $950. You add the strap is another $20, and this is another $10. So we're at $980. If you count the SD card in here, we're at an even $1,000. So the total cost of all of this equipment is $1,000. People are saying, well, what if you already have the goggles? It still has a value associated with it. When I got my DJI goggles, I sold the HDO2 goggles I had at the time. I sold my HDO2 goggles plus rapid fire plus antennas for about $650, right? $650 I sold it for. The DJI goggle Father's Day sale happened like right after that for $429. So I sold my analog goggle setup for $650. I bought DJI for $429. I had enough left over to go buy a whole Vista kit, and I still had enough left over to take my lady out for a steak dinner. So let's do the math on the DJI side. DJI goggles, $569. Analog adapter, $12. So $580. And then let's say we're going to use a rapid fire module, $150. So $580 is $730. Your antennas, $750. So if you want a premium setup on DJI side that can do analog or digital, you're talking about $750. If you're talking about a premium setup on the analog side, you're talking about $1,000. So DJI goggle setup with analog compared to analog sharkbyte setup with analog is actually significantly cheaper. The sharkbyte system, this set of goggles as it sits is $1,000. Can you believe this? And the DVR sucks balls. I mean, it's just terrible. I could hire a police sketch artist to draw frame by frame, and it would still look better than this DVR. I mean, it's a complete joke. Ugh. So that's why. That's why you got to compare them. All right, let's go through some of the comments, and we're going to wrap this up, guys. We're going to wrap this up. Carl says, my next step is to make a programmable camera with the capability of outputting 1080p 30, blah, 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 blah. And the current VTX will support it. That sounds really good, Carl. You got to make it 4x3 though, because oh yeah, it says 4x3 switchable, so that's what we want. John says, I'm concerned that sharkbyte may not get decent market share hold in an already small market because of pricing alone. That's a very good point. So anybody that wanted DJI in the past 2 years, or I'm sorry, anybody that wanted HD video in the past 2 years is pretty much already on DJI. So who's left? People that don't have a lot of money to throw around. Or people that just hate DJI for some strange reason. People that live like in a trailer and wear a tin hat, protecting them from aliens. That's who's left. And then people like me, like crazy FPV reviewers that are willing to just throw money into the toilet in order for you guys' amusement. That's who's left. And, if I want it to be good. I want it to be good though. That's what you guys don't understand. You think that I'm hating on it, but no, I have to give you the actual data. I have to give you the actual comparison. If it sucks, I got to tell you it sucks. And in the ways that it's good, I got to tell you that too. And so the latency is good, the form factor is good, the weight is good. If you use the Woo board, the price is good, but the fit's not good. Where are you going to fit it? Where are you going to fit it? Where are you going to fit it? It's like somebody trying to sell you the world's most beautiful suitcase, but it's too big to fit as a carry-on. It's like that Pyro backpack. Have you seen that thing? I mean, Jesus Christ, if your boat sank, you could probably use that thing to float to shore if you could just find something to paddle with. It's freaking gigantic. And that's the way that I feel about this sharkbyte Whoop board. But it actually works. I mean, I've put at least 12 to 15 packs on it and it hasn't died yet. So it's not that delicate, right? If you already have goggles, you already have goggles. No, that's not how it works, guys. If you already have a piece of capital equipment, there's a cost associated with that. It might be a sunk cost, but it has a cost. You can sell it and get something else. I sold my analog setup for $650. I bought DJI for $429. And there you go. DJI's cheaper. DJI's cheaper. DJI's cheaper. Either way you slice it. $1,000, DJI's cheaper. So that's the reality. They can't handle the truth. Yeah. Ground Dodger says, all my racers have Whoop boards. Yeah, you know what else has Whoop board mounting? I don't know if I have one up here, but the Open Racer. The Open Racer has Whoop mounting, so maybe I'll build a sharkbyte version of the Open Racer. If that 533 HD doesn't work out too well. The only thing that concerns me about that is the camera protection is not that great, but maybe I'll design a better camera mount for it. I don't get how you work it out. I don't know, man. It must have been all those grad school accounting classes that are just haunting me now. I mean, I need to do fuzzier math. The Father's Day sale 2020 was a big draw to DJI. I got 2 Air units and a V1 goggles for like $638. Yeah, man, that's when I jumped in too. I mean, it was insanity. Skyphone 04X puts plus sharkbyte is like $780. Yeah, but then you still need an analog module, DQ. That's the problem. So you still need a rapid fire or a fusion. And then boom, you're very close. And then you need antennas for both. And so you're right back at 1,000 buckaroonies. I sold my old Fat Shark and bought the Mambo. The Mambo? The radio? I definitely wouldn't put the Whoop board on a 5-inch. The Whoop board is meant for whoops. FPV Vale. It says, hey, he's from Brazil. Hey, Bahia. All right, man. Hey, thanks for checking in with us, man. Yeah, Brazil sounds awesome. I'd love to go there one day. It comes with a VRX module. Skyphone 046 has VRX. Wait, what? Oh, yeah, it does have an analog module. You know what, DQ? So I take that back. So that's a really good point. So if you get the SkyZone plus sharkbyte, you can actually get out about the same price as a DJI setup. So that's a good point. Almost $200 cheaper. Really good point. I do see a lot more people showing up with the SkyZone 04X than any other goggle these days. It seems to be the most popular goggle on the market these days, surpassing Fat Shark and even Orca. So, very good note on there. Thanks for that. He's from Curitiba, Paraná. Did I say that right? You can't get $600 for no Fat Shark goggles today. Well, I mean, yeah, you can't sell them for $600, but you can buy them. So I do have another set of HDOs. I'm selling them with a rapid fire for under $500 with antennas. So if you do need an analog setup, let me know. Jonathan V says that he loves the SkyZone 04X. Yeah, I kind of want one, man, because the DVR is actually pretty good. But unfortunately, these goggles won't record the DVR directly in the goggle from the VRX. The VRX has its own DVR. I don't especially love like how this all goes together. Like the HDMI cable is actually not that bad, but then you need a plug for here, a plug for here. It's just a little weird. So yeah. Noid is here. Noid FPV is here. Yeah, I think I'm going to wrap it up, guys. If you got any questions, let me know. We're going to wrap it up in the next 5 minutes. It is quite unfortunate that they stopped producing the Caddx Vista, because that was my favorite video transmitter of all time. The Vista, hasta la vista, baby. The SkyZone VRX is damn good. Rapid fire mix works well also, especially when you install 2 modules. And then you get quadversity. Yeah, that does sound pretty cool. You know, and especially if you were just going to fly analog quads on occasion, just for like whooping or something like that, that SkyZone inbuilt module would be even more attractive. So like if you don't fly analog very often, you just want it for occasional whooping or something like that. That's a very good point. Your SkyZone plus sharkbyte combo would come out almost, you know, about $200 cheaper than this hunk of junk right here. I can't believe this costs $1,000. I probably shouldn't say that and walk around with this thing. But I mean, let's be honest. Who's gonna want to steal this? Nobody. Nobody. Talk about the Runcam DJI partnership. Yeah, that is a notable thing. So everyone thought that Runcam and HD0 was going to be the savior of the sharkbyte system, guys. Everyone thought it was going to be the savior of the sharkbyte system, but just then we find out that Runcam's been playing both sides, and they are now joining the partnership. Caddx is now no longer the only game in town when it comes to DJI FPV. Runcam is joining the fray. And I gotta be honest with you guys, Caddx was always my least favorite camera manufacturer. In fact, every time that I would get a Caddx analog camera, I would kind of joke that there was like an employee at the factory whose job it was to sprinkle just a little bit of dust onto the sensor of every Caddx camera before it shipped out the door, because it seemed like every Caddx camera you ever bought had dust on the freaking sensor when you opened it up. And so I was not very excited, and I haven't been excited, and I'm still not to this day excited about Caddx being the one making all the stuff for DJI. But worry about that no more, because Runcam's getting in the game. They are an official partner now. They have been making their own DJI compatible cameras for a little bit, but it was technically like sort of like on their own, like a rogue style. But they must have impressed DJI a little bit, because DJI is now adding them as a supported vendor, so we'll get actual supported Runcam DJI cameras, and I'm very excited for that. I hope that they can figure out the 120 FPS thing. If they can give us 120 FPS, then all will be right with the world. Right now, I have a cache of Caddx Vista units and Nebula Pros in a safe in an undisclosed vacation. I'm going to be contacting my attorney in order to add those to my will, because they're probably the most expensive things that I own at this time. So hopefully some new cameras will be coming out very, very soon. Ritter says buying a dozen pros, first chance to get. Yeah, so the word on the street, according to It's Blunty, is that the Nebula Pros will be coming in stock at the end of September. The end of September, guys. But the thing of it is, we don't know how accurate that is. It could be delayed. It could come out at that time. But what the real question that I want to know is how many? How many? How many? And how restored is the manufacturing capacity compared to what it's been in the past? Now, because of the long shortage, there's going to be an incredible amount of demand. So what could happen is they could all sell out like in a day. Now, when that happens, how long till we get another batch? Is it going to be a month? Is it going to be 2 months? Is it going to be 6 months? Is it going to be 12 months? We've been in this drought for several months now. It's been impossible to get a Nebula Pro or any camera that can do 120 frames per second. So how long is this batch going to last? If there's 10,000 people out there that want these units and everybody's going to try to buy a dozen, like Ritter said, then what? What's the next drought? How long is the next drought gonna last? Like, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. Ah. John says that's why he went to Sky Zones. Come on, newbie drone, give me a 10% off Labor Day next month. Yeah, you know what? I'm kind of waiting for a Labor Day discount myself so I can get me some Sky Zones too. Joe Mama bought the Sky Zones. So I got my revenge on Joe Mama the other day at the night spot. I beat him again. And the very next day, he went out and bought Sky Zones. So he's trying to step up his game so that he can come back at me. So come at me, bro. But I'm going to get some Sky Zones of my own, I think. Okay, guys, I think we're going to end it right there. Thank you guys so much for coming to this episode of Judge jonE5. If you have an FPV case that you want to bring to this courtroom, then please submit it in the comments of any of my videos, and we'll do another episode like this. It's been great to come and hang out with you guys again. I'm going to try to get a little more regular with the live streams, but man, like, I've just had products showing up every day for reviews. So many companies are reaching out. And guess what, guys? We're going to be doing a 5,000 subscriber giveaway. So spoiler alert, I recorded the video today. I'm going to release it in the next few days. And I'm going to be giving away a $100 gift card to your choice of shop. You get to choose the shop anywhere in the world. If they sell a gift card and you pick it, I'm going to buy you a $100 gift card. And you can buy any FPV products you want. So get ready for that. It's going to be coming out. You're going to need to subscribe, like that video, comment, and then join the FPV Spells Alerts group in Facebook. Comment there, and you'll be entered to win $100. And then we're probably going to do another one for 6,000 subscribers because we've already passed that milestone too, and we're going to do another one for $50 after that. So we're going to try this right now. Instead of giving away products and shipping you an old quad or something that you may not need, we're going to let you choose the product of your choice. You know, my uncle, when he would give us presents, he would say, hey, guess what? You know, cash is never the wrong size. It's never the wrong color. You never have to take it back. And so Uncle John is going to do the same thing for you. $50 gift card to your shop of choice. Whether I work with that company or not, I'm going to buy it for you. And then you can buy whatever products you want for FPV to get yourself back up and flying. Thanks, guys. Stay tuned for that. Talk to you next time.